Hey guys, so the vlog I was gonna do today was gonna do it was gonna be slightly comic, slightly cool, slightly insane, but the problem was, as soon as I started doing it, it quickly became like a labeling vlog, and I decided that I didn't really want to approach it that way, and I didn't really want to talk about labels. I wanted to talk about something that, for me, has happened in the last couple of days, and I don't know, the Tumbleverse and the internet and YouTube has just completely astounded me, I guess, about this whole thing. There's a certain Tom Daly video going around that caught my attention for a fair few reasons. One is the fact that he sat down and he vlogged about his sexuality, which isn't an easy thing for someone to do. You can't sit in front of a camera and expect complete and total honesty. You're telling, in his case, millions, billions of people. In my case, I'm telling 8. But yeah, it's still a hard thing to do, to tell 8 people that you know exactly what your sexuality is. It's even harder to say that you're confused, or that you don't understand how the hell sexuality even works. Because a few years ago I was fairly confident that I knew who I was. I knew what I was. I didn't want to change who I was. I've never wanted to change who I was. But then I started thinking that all I was really doing was applying a label to myself, and I personally don't think that's very healthy. I don't think it's very healthy to categorise myself as gay, straight, bi, transgender, pansexual, romantic, asexual. There's labels under the sun for just about any possible fetish you could have, or any gender you could identify with, or the way you dress, the way you appear, the apps you like, the things you read, the vlogs you make, the video games you play, the Disney films you watch. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't identify as these things. I don't think that there should be an exclusive, your interests are based on one interest. Because, there's a lot of people out there that I've met that have liked very similar things to me, so you can almost kind of say that, oh, they'll probably like this, but then part of them is always different, and part of you is always unique. And I think the problem is, this is an extreme. As soon as someone says gay to you, you have this instant stereotype that they're going to take loads of selfies on the internet, and that they are scared of women, or scared of lesbians, or that we're some kind of independent species, that we go around in a group and we're rowdy, or somehow they're we, us, them. See, this is the problem I'm also having, is pronouncing this. That all you're interested in is rainbow colours of things all the time, and you go to clubs and the only reason you're at a gay club is because you want to hook up with someone. I think it's very damaging. I think that part of the reason stereotypes exist is because people are like them. But there's this string of, well, to be gay you should be feminine, and you should like musicals, and you should be way into fashion, and you probably have some hang up over self-image, and you probably sound a certain way, and you dress a certain way, and you have friends who are A, B, and C, and you only ever date boys. There's no way you could possibly ever fall in love with a girl. That's just impossible. And then the second you do, you're bisexual, because you can't just love who you love. You can't just say, I'm fluid. I don't think that sexuality is boxable. I don't think that it's natural to go around and categorize people. I think it's a problem because society puts things in boxes so that people can either unpack them or they can push them to a corner and exclude them. you can include a box, but if you never get them out of the box, then all you're left with is like an attic full of boxes that they meet but they never leave their group, and if they leave their group mentality goes with them. And I think the problem is that nobody really dresses down a stereotype because we live in stereotypes. And I know this sounds like I'm getting at one person or everybody and I'm being maybe perhaps too generalist, but I feel like a massive wall of how society programs you to react to things and how you're programmed to approach the situation of being gay. There's this whole like category of help on coming out and learning how other people deal with it. And I think the problem with only dealing in stereotypes is that you end up pigeonholing a whole group of people. Okay, I like musicals. I'm not a massive fan of fashion. I have a high-pitched squeaky voice, thank you, life. I wear glasses, therefore, geek. Yeah, okay, I'm some of those things. But I wouldn't say that the thoughts and feelings going within me are always about guys. There are times when I love the idea of just loving someone, and to me it doesn't really matter who that person is. Like, the gender is not really an issue. You should be celebrating the fact you're an individual, and that as an individual you come in every single shape and size imaginable, in every colour, in every dimension of possibility. There is a person. That's something we should be celebrating. I think trying to fit a mould onto someone is probably the worst thing you could do, because we're kind of together in our uniqueness. I really think that equality must stem back to the fact that you want equality. We don't want someone having an advantage because they are more diverse, and therefore that means that we have to take care to make sure that we're being more equal, when actually we're just going to overcompensate for that. I don't think that that means that we should go parading around the fact that we are one thing or another, because everybody should be included, always. I think what I'm trying to say is, like, as soon as someone becomes a label, that's when the problem starts. That's when you start to lack the imagination to talk to them as if they're anything but that person. So while you're going about your life trying to place yourself somewhere, that's because labels exist. If society wasn't based on a system of labeling and boxing and grouping and making things easier to digest, then I think that there would be a lot less inequality to begin with. I call this video really long and ranty because it's literally just about labels, but it's something that I've wanted to get off my chest. I've not really known how to, because it's one of those things that as soon as you start talking about it, you start processing it in your head. Like, there are some things I've said in this video already that I've been like, I can't say that, I don't want to say that, I don't want to offend anyone. Everyone is amazing and should deserve a chance at being just them, not a group of mindless drones. People are always gonna get scared. People are always gonna be afraid of you, and people are always gonna be that little bit harsh, that little bit, because they have an opinion. But because one person has an opinion doesn't mean that another shouldn't. You can't stop someone from having an opinion, and you never will. But that doesn't mean that you're any less of a person, or that they're any more of a person, or that their opinion is better than yours, as long as your opinion is well informed. Guys, always remember to be special, and always remember to be yourselves, because you're a lot better than being yourself, and someone else is probably taken. So let's end this vlog here, because it's a happy note, and I should always leave you guys on a happy note. Yeah, this rant was brought to you by DeepFizzyPurple.